After having defined your challenge and your goal, thought through the resources that you need and the stakeholder support that is required, both the community and the organization that you work in, it's time to look at the specific actions. So here we want to identify 3 different specific actions. We'll ask you for each action the same questions. We'll do it 3 times. So you end up with 3 actions. Then we know, of course, there are many more than 3 actions. So we'll ask you one final question. What else, what other actions are needed? So let's look at what we ask you each time. I'll only go through the cycle once. What do you want to do? Now, this, of course, is with respect to your goal and your challenge. So in my case, my goal is to actually develop a survey about knowledge and attitudes of adults about vaccination, both COVID-19 and routine. So develop survey questions could be something that I want to do. Now, this actually is missing a few elements. By when? It needs to be time bound. So we can use the idea of what are called SMART goals. So specific, measurable, by the end of the week. Okay, actionable. Can I actually do this? Yes, time bound. Now you can see here, by thinking through these criteria of how specific is it, I have an action that is much more useful than if I stay vague. If I could just put develop survey, but there's a lot missing in there. I'd probably have to break it down into sub-steps. So question is, have I done this before? This is my action. So yes, yes, I have developed survey questions before. Who will carry out this action? So I will do it with others. It is very unlikely that there are actions you will do on your own. Most actions are going to require collaboration. Now, one thing to highlight is if you say others will do it, there's a key question of how are you going to get these others to do what you want them to do? So that goes back to the stakeholder question, but it also means be careful about assuming that others are going to do something unless you've carefully thought out how that's going to happen. And so I will do it. There are likely to be, make sure that this is actually something that you are able to do. So sometimes we see people setting very ambitious actions for themselves that are outside their formal roles they cannot actually possibly do. It's not in their job to do what they're aiming to do. So how much time do you need to finish this action? So I think this can be done in 4 weeks or less. All right. Now the question about innovation, if it's not innovative at all, that's a 0. And if it's very innovative, it's a 5. And innovations are new solutions and ways of working that can accelerate impact. Now, this is my action. How innovative is it? Well, there's nothing innovative about developing survey questions. So I can safely give it a 0. This doesn't mean it's a bad action. An action doesn't have to be innovative. If it is something that is tried and true, that has worked many times before, there's no shame in saying it is not innovative, but it is something that actually works, that I have done many times before, or that others have done many times before. And then what's really key is to tell us why this action matters. Why do you need to do this? How will this action help you achieve your goal? What needs to happen and when? What are the steps to finish this action? Who is going to carry it out? Now, we've already asked you these in categorical questions where you just tick a box. Here, you can tell us, well, who are the other people who are going to carry out the action? How will you know when you finish your action? How will you know if your action is successful? So again, it looks like there's just one line here, but you can write as much or as little as you want. Now, once you've answered these questions, well, we ask you to identify the second of 3 different specific actions. And this is the same set of questions. So to show you, I can click on continue actually. what you want to do. Now, don't write the same thing. This needs to be a new action. Watch out, there's only 256 characters. You can see this is something you do have to fill in. You can tell with a little asterisk that this is a mandatory question. So have you done this before? Yes, I'm not actually going to answer this time. Who will carry out this action? How much time do I need? It's 4 weeks or more than 4 weeks. How innovative? If it's not innovative, don't pretend that it is. If it's not a new solution, a new way of working, then it is not innovative. So chances are, if you've done it before, it's not innovative. Tell us more about this action, explain why this action matters. And so you'll do this 2 times here, and then when you get here, define your third action. So you'll see you cycle through this 3 times. And then what you want to do, have you done this before? Who will carry it out? How much time do you need? How innovative is it? Tell us more. And then here, this final question is important. What else needs to happen to achieve your goal? So this is your goal. And the questions are, what other actions need to be taken? When do they need to happen? So this is actions other than the 3 that you have defined. Who will carry them out? How will these help you achieve your goal? What is your role in these actions? So are you going to do them? Are others? Do you make the decisions? Are you tasked with carrying out the actions? What control do you have over these actions? And here you can include things that are completely outside of, that you have no control over. So if you're trying to access a remote area, but there is flooding, well, what else needs to happen is that the flood needs to recede so you can access the roads again, and you can actually make your way to this remote area. This is where you can put this kind of information. You only have 1 line, but you can write as much as you want. Finally, we ask you, do you wish to share your experience with others? And we know some of you may not be interested, may be interested, but may not have time, and others will be ready to prioritize this. So it's most likely to be productive if you prioritize this. Your experience of the action plan, you stand to benefit if you participate in the experience sharing sessions. They're not mandatory. They're highly recommended. You click on the black link, the black underlined link here to register for the next sessions, and then click continue. You can always come back to the survey. Now, the next section, which will be in the next tutorial, is to understand your challenge and action plan. We have questions about the general situation. This is about indicators. We'll come back to that. It's a very important part of your action plan. We'll talk about it soon.